The velvet box felt wrong in my hands, too light, like a hollow promise. My fingers trembled as I opened it, already knowing what I'd find. Empty. Just like the pit forming in my stomach. I'm Trisha, and until 5 minutes ago, I thought I was living a fairy tale. Now I'm standing in our bedroom, staring at the void where my grandmother's ring should be, while my fiancé Wade is supposedly working late again. No, 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 I whispered, dumping my jewelry box onto the bed. Earrings, necklaces, and bracelets scattered across the duvet, but the antique diamond ring that had been in my family for 3 generations was nowhere to be found. My phone buzzed. Emily's name lit up the screen. I can't find it, I choked out before she could even say hello. The ring is gone. What? Your grandmother's ring? Are you sure you didn't just misplace it? I always keep it in the same spot. Always. My voice cracked. Wade's been acting weird lately, disappearing for hours, taking mysterious calls. Okay, breathe, Emily said. When did you last see it? 3 days ago. I was showing it to. The words died in my throat as a memory surfaced. Wade and my cousin Lucille, heads bent together over the ring, admiring it. Oh, God. What? What is it? Lucille was here. She kept asking about the ring's value, saying how lucky I was to inherit it. The pieces started falling into place, each one hitting like a punch to the gut. Wade's been spending a lot of time with her lately. They're both on the board at the children's hospital. Hold on, Emily interrupted. I heard something at work today. Janet from accounting mentioned seeing Wade at Carlisle's jewelers yesterday. My legs gave out, and I sank onto the bed. Carlisle's was known for their high-end estate jewelry purchases. He wouldn't, I whispered. He couldn't have. My phone pinged with a message. Emily had sent a screenshot from Instagram, a photo posted by Lucille's best friend, Marina. It showed a glimpse of what looked like a wedding venue setup, with the caption, "Can't wait for this weekend's secret celebration." Trisha? Emily's voice was gentle. Are you still there? I couldn't speak. My eyes were fixed on another detail in the photo, a familiar-looking leather planner on the corner of a table. Wade's planner, the one he carried everywhere. The front door opened downstairs. Wade's footsteps echoed through the house. I have to go, I whispered to Emily. He's home. Don't confront him yet. We need to. I ended the call as Wade appeared in the doorway, his smile faltering when he saw the scattered jewelry. Everything okay, babe? He asked, loosening his tie. I forced myself to breathe normally, to keep my voice steady. Just organizing, I said, gathering the jewelry with shaking hands. Hey, have you seen my grandmother's ring? I can't seem to find it. Wade's face twitched, just slightly, but enough. No idea, he said too quickly. Maybe you left it at the gym. I never wore it to the gym. He knew that. Maybe, I said, watching him hurry to the bathroom. As the shower started running, I picked up his discarded jacket and found a crumpled receipt in the pocket. Carlisle's Jewelers, yesterday's date, amount $15,000. My grandmother's words echoed in my head. This ring isn't just jewelry, Trisha. It's our family's legacy. Promise me you'll protect it. I clutched the receipt, my shock crystallizing into something harder, colder. Wade and Lucille thought they were being clever with their secret wedding plans, but they had no idea what they'd just started, or who would be waiting for them at the altar. You need to eat something, Emily insisted, sliding a plate of pancakes across her kitchen counter. The morning sun streamed through her windows, but I couldn't feel its warmth. I can't, I said, staring into my untouched coffee. Every time I think about food, I see them laughing at me behind my back. Then let's focus on facts, Emily said, pulling out her phone. Marina's post disappeared, but I took screenshots. The venue looks like the Grand Plaza Hotel. My hands clenched around the coffee mug. Wade has a charity gala there this weekend. He said I couldn't come because they were limiting attendance this year. Some charity gala, Emily scoffed. I called my friend who works there. There's a wedding booked for Saturday afternoon, but the names are private. The doorbell rang, making me jump. Emily checked her security camera and frowned. It's Wade. My heart hammered. I can't. Yes, you can. Emily squeezed my shoulder. Remember, we know more than he thinks we do. Wade burst in as soon as Emily opened the door. Trisha, I've been calling all morning. Why aren't you answering? Maybe because I was up all night wondering why my fiancé sold my grandmother's ring, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He froze, then recovered with a practiced smile. What are you talking about? I slapped the Carlyle's receipt on the counter. Want to try that answer again? Okay, look. He ran his hands through his hair. I can explain. The Children's Hospital needed emergency funding for new equipment. The ring was just sitting there, and I knew we could help save lives. Stop lying. I stood up so fast my chair toppled over. You sold my family heirloom to fund your secret wedding with Lucille. The color drained from his face. Who told you? So it's true. The confirmation hit like a physical blow. How long? Trisha, it's complicated. Lucille and we connected over the hospital board meetings. She understands me in a way. In a way your fiancé couldn't? Emily cut in, disgust clear in her voice. This isn't about you. Wade snapped at her before turning back to me. Trisha, I never meant to hurt you. Sometimes things just happen. Things just happen? I laughed, a harsh sound that surprised even me. Like my ring just happened to end up at Carlyle's? Like you just happened to plan a secret wedding behind my back? Keep your voice down, he hissed, glancing nervously at the windows. Think about how this would look for the hospital board. Oh, now you're worried about appearances? I stepped closer, trembling with rage. Where was that concern when you were sneaking around with my cousin? This is exactly why we kept it quiet, he said. You're being hysterical. The slap echoed through the kitchen. Wade's head snapped to the side, his cheek reddening. Get out, I whispered. Trisha, she said, get out. Emily moved between us, phone in hand. Before I start calling hospital board members about their golden boy's ethical practices. Wade's face hardened. You're making a mistake, both of you. No, I said, meeting his eyes. The mistake was trusting you with my grandmother's legacy, but don't worry, I'll fix that. After he left, Emily hugged me tight. You okay? No. I pulled back, wiping my eyes. But I will be. Emily, I need your help. Wade and Lucille think they've won, that I'll just cry and hide while they walk down the aisle with my grandmother's ring money. What are you thinking? I picked up my phone, scrolling to a contact I hadn't used in years. Remember Frankie, the one who used to handle security for those celebrity weddings? Emily's eyes widened. You're not seriously planning to crash their wedding? I pressed call, a cold smile forming. Oh, I'm gonna do much more than that. These are interesting, Frankie said, spreading old family photos across his desk. The private investigator's office smelled of coffee and leather, matching his worn jacket. Your cousin Lucille appears in a lot of them, always hovering near whatever you're holding. I leaned closer to a Christmas photo from 5 years ago. There was Lucille, eyeing the designer bag I'd just unwrapped. She always wanted what I had. Including Wade? Emily asked from her perch on the windowsill. Especially Wade. I pointed to another photo, my engagement party. Look at her face when he proposed. Frankie picked up the photo, squinting. There's something else. See how she's on her phone? I bet she was already plotting. His computer pinged. Speaking of plotting, he turned the screen toward us. Your cousin's been busy. Multiple visits to Carlisle's jewelers last month, way before Wade sold the ring. And look who she met for lunch right after. The security camera footage showed Lucille at a cafe with an older man I recognized instantly. That's Mr. Carlyle himself. Why would she? Because, Frankie typed rapidly, pulling up more records. She needed to arrange the sale before it happened. Your grandmother's ring was appraised at $50,000 10 years ago. Wade sold it for $15,000. What? Emily and I said in unison. Carlyle's would never lowball that much unless. Frankie trailed off meaningfully. Unless they were in on it, I finished. Lucille arranged a fake low purchase price and probably got a kickback from the difference, Emily added. That's why they could afford the Grand Plaza wedding. My phone buzzed. A text from my aunt Lucille's mother. Family dinner tonight, non-negotiable. Perfect timing, Frankie said, gathering the photos. Go, act normal, but wear this. He handed me what looked like a normal pearl necklace. It's a recording device. The more evidence we gather, the better. 2 hours later, I sat at my aunt's formal dining table, pushing food around my plate while Lucille held court. The hospital fundraiser is coming along beautifully, she gushed. Wade's been such a help with the planning. I'm sure he has, I muttered. What was that, dear? My aunt's voice could have frozen hell. I said that's wonderful. I touched the pearl necklace. Actually, Lucille, I'd love to help too. Maybe I could stop by the venue. See what you need? Lucille's fork clattered against her plate. No, I mean, it's all handled. Wouldn't want to burden you. It's no burden, after all, I smiled sweetly. We're family. Speaking of family, my aunt cut in, where's your grandmother's ring? I noticed you're not wearing it. Lucille's face went white. I saw her hand slip under the table, probably texting Wade in panic. Oh, you hadn't heard? I kept my voice light. It was stolen. Such a shame. It was worth quite a lot. The police are very interested in local jewelry shops that might have bought it. The police? Lucille choked on her wine. They said something about security footage and conspiracy charges, but let's talk about happier things. I turned to my aunt. How's the wedding planning going? Wedding? My aunt looked confused. What wedding? Oh, I covered my mouth in fake horror. I'm so sorry, Lucille. Was that supposed to be a secret? The chaos that erupted was beautiful. As my aunt demanded answers and Lucille stammered excuses, my phone vibrated with a text from Frankie. Got everything. Meeting tomorrow at 9. Bring Emily. You won't believe what else I found. I slipped out during the commotion, pausing only to see Lucille's mascara-streaked face as she frantically dialed Wade's number. Phase 1 was complete, but tomorrow would bring even better revelations, and the wedding was still 4 days away. Your cousin's been a busy bee, Frankie said, spreading documents across his desk. These are bank statements from the hospital's charity fund. Emily leaned forward. Are those transfers to a private account? Bingo. Frankie pointed to a series of transactions. Over $200,000 in the past 6 months, all authorized by Wade and Lucille. My stomach lurched. They've been stealing from sick children? Gets worse. Frankie pulled up an email chain. Remember how Wade said the hospital needed emergency equipment? Complete lie. The equipment was fully funded last year. They've been using the charity as their personal piggy bank. That's why they needed my ring sold quickly, I said. The wedding venue needed a deposit, but they couldn't use the stolen money without raising red flags. Exactly. Frankie handed me a USB drive. Everything's here. The fraudulent transfers, the ring sale scheme, even texts between them planning the whole thing. How did you get their texts? Emily asked. Frankie winked. Let's just say Wade should really change his cloud password from password 123. My phone buzzed. A text from Lucille. We need to talk. Coffee, please? Go, Frankie said before I could ask. The necklace recorder is still working. Let's hear what she has to say. An hour later, I sat across from Lucille at our local cafe. She looked terrible, her designer outfit wrinkled, dark circles under her eyes. I can explain everything, she started, like how you helped Wade sell my grandmother's ring. I kept my voice low. Or how you're both stealing from the hospital. Her coffee cup rattled against the saucer. How did you? Does it matter? What matters is that you're about to marry my fiancé using money stolen from sick children. It's not like that. Lucille leaned forward. The hospital has plenty of money. We just redirected some funds that weren't being used efficiently. Into your wedding fund? Look, she hissed. I know you're hurt, but think about your future. The hospital board, the social circles. You'll destroy everything if this gets out, including your own reputation. I laughed. My reputation? I'm not the thief here. No, but your family. This scandal would ruin all of us. She reached across the table, grabbing my hand. Please, Trisha, I'll make sure you get another ring, even better than your grandmother's. I yanked my hand away. It was never about the ring's value. It was about loyalty, about family, things you clearly know nothing about. You don't understand. Lucille's voice cracked. Wade and I, we're perfect together. We understand how this world works, the connections, the power plays, the fraud. Sometimes you have to bend the rules to get ahead. She was almost crying now. Wade saw that in me. He never had to pretend to be something he wasn't, like he did with you. My phone buzzed. A text from Frankie. Got everything. Time to go. I stood up, dropping cash on the table. You're right about one thing, Lucille. Wade didn't have to pretend with you. You're both exactly who you appear to be. Wait, she called after me. What are you going to do? I turned back, smiling. Enjoy your wedding. I hear it's going to be quite an event. Outside, Emily was waiting in her car. How'd it go? Perfect. I pulled out the pearl necklace. She admitted everything. Did you get the guest list from the hotel? Better. Emily grinned. I got the seating chart. And guess who's attending? The entire hospital board, 3 local news reporters, and the state's attorney general. Really? I felt a smile spreading across my face. How convenient. Frankie says we're ready for the final phase. Are you sure about this? I thought about Wade and Lucille, so smug in their perfect little plan. Oh, yes, they wanted a wedding everyone would remember. And they're going to get one. You look exhausted, Emily said as I slumped into her couch. The rehearsal dinner had just ended, and my face hurt from fake smiling. You should have seen Wade's face when I walked in, I said, kicking off my heels. He nearly choked on his champagne. I still can't believe your aunt insisted you attend. Family appearances matter. I mimicked my aunt's shrill voice. If she only knew what her precious daughter's been up to. My phone lit up with a text from Frankie. Everything's set for tomorrow. Hotel security's on board. You won't believe who else reached out. Who? Emily peered over my shoulder. Before I could respond, another text came through, from Mr. Carlyle himself. My dear, I've been expecting your call. Let's make this right. The jeweler? Emily gasped. How did Frankie? Turns out Mr. Carlyle has a conscience, I said, and a grudge against Lucille for blackmailing his son into the ring scheme. This keeps getting better. Emily poured us both wine. Did you see the seating arrangement they posted? Front row, right next to the hospital board chairman. I couldn't help smirking. Almost like they want me to have a good view. Speaking of views, Emily pulled up her phone, showing me the wedding venue's layout. Frankie got us access to the security office. The cameras cover every angle, and the backup recordings are already secured off-site. A knock at the door made us jump. Emily checked the security camera and frowned. It's Wade. Perfect timing. I smoothed my dress and nodded. Let him in. Wade burst through the door, his designer suit rumpled. We need to talk. About what? I kept my voice innocent. The charity gala tomorrow? Or should I say, wedding? Stop playing games, he growled. What are you planning? Planning? I'm just being supportive family, like Aunt Dearest wants. Cut the act. He stepped closer, but Emily moved between us. First you show up at the rehearsal, then I hear you've been talking to Carlisle. Oh, that reminds me. I pulled out my phone, making sure the recording was still running. How much did you and Lucille make from my grandmother's ring? The real amount, not the $15,000 you reported. His face went pale. That's none of your. Because Mr. Carlyle told me the interesting story about his son, the gambling debts, and how Lucille used that information to arrange the fake sale price. The ring sold for its full value, didn't it? Around $50,000? You're in dangerous territory. Wade's voice shook. If you know what's good for you, are you threatening me? I stepped around Emily. Like you threatened Mr. Carlyle's son? Or the hospital board members who questioned those mysterious transfers? Wade's composure cracked. How did you leave? Emily said firmly. Before we call security. This isn't over, he snarled, backing toward the door. You're right, I called after him. It's not over until tomorrow. Give Lucille my love. After he left, Emily turned to me. He's scared. Good. I checked my phone. New messages from Frankie, Mr. Carlyle, and the hotel security head were pouring in. Everything's falling into place. Trisha. Emily hesitated. Are you sure about tomorrow? Once we do this, they stole more than just my ring, I said, touching the empty space on my finger where it used to be. They stole from sick children, from my family's legacy, from everyone who trusted them. Tomorrow isn't just about revenge. It's about justice, Emily finished. Exactly. I pulled up the final confirmation from Frankie. All evidence distributed, media alerted, police standing by. Tomorrow, Wade and Lucille would walk down the aisle thinking they'd won. They had no idea they were walking straight into a trap, and I would be there to spring it. The Grand Plaza Hotel buzzed with pre-wedding activity. I sat in the security office with Frankie, watching multiple screens showing different areas of the venue. Emily paced behind us, checking her watch every few seconds. Guests are arriving, Frankie pointed to one screen. There's the hospital board chairman, and look who just walked in. Mr. Carlyle appeared on screen, clutching a familiar velvet box. Right on time, I whispered. Miss? A security guard stepped in. The bride's asking for you, says it's urgent. I exchanged glances with Emily. Showtime. I found Lucille in the bridal suite, already in her wedding dress. She was alone, pacing frantically. Thank God you came. She grabbed my arms. Wade's acting strange. He knows something's wrong. Cold feet? I asked innocently. This isn't funny. She shook me. What did you say to him last night? He's paranoid, checking his phone every minute. Maybe he's worried about the hospital board members downstairs. I pulled away from her grip. Or Mr. Carlyle? The color drained from her face. What did you do? Me? Nothing yet. But isn't it interesting how many important people are attending this private ceremony? You don't understand what you're doing, she hissed. If this falls apart, what, the wedding or the fraud scheme? A knock interrupted us. 5 minutes to ceremony, called the wedding planner. Lucille grabbed her bouquet with shaking hands. Please, she whispered, we can work something out. Money, jewelry, whatever you want. I only want one thing, I said, moving to the door, and I'm about to get it. The wedding march began playing as I slipped into my seat in the front row. Wade stood at the altar, tugging at his collar, his eyes darting between his phone and the exit doors. Emily sat beside me, squeezing my hand. Frankie says everyone's in position. The music swelled. Lucille appeared at the back of the hall, clutching her father's arm. She looked beautiful, I had to admit, but her smile was brittle as she passed the hospital board members. Dearly beloved, the officiant began, but a commotion at the back of the hall cut him off. Sorry, I'm late. Mr. Carlyle's voice rang out. I brought a wedding gift. Wade's face went ashen as Mr. Carlyle held up the velvet box. Lucille swayed on her feet. That's not, Wade started. Your grandmother's ring? Mr. Carlyle opened the box. The one you sold to fund this wedding? Interesting story about that sale. Stop, Lucille pleaded. Why stop? I stood up. Everyone's here, the hospital board, the press, even the attorney general. Perfect audience for the full story, don't you think? What's going on? The hospital board chairman demanded. Show them. I nodded to Frankie, who pressed a button on his phone. The venue's screens flickered to life, displaying bank statements, text messages, and security footage. Wade and Lucille's voices played through the speakers, discussing the ring scheme, the hospital fraud, all of it. Chaos erupted. Board members stood up shouting. Reporters started taking photos. Through it all, Wade and Lucille stood frozen at the altar, their perfect day crumbling around them. Security! Wade finally yelled. Oh, they're here. I smiled as uniformed officers entered, but not for me. The police moved forward, reading rights as they handcuffed the would-be bride and groom. Lucille's mascara ran down her face as she was led past me. Why? She sobbed. We're family. Exactly, I said, taking my grandmother's ring from Mr. Carlyle, and family legacies should be protected. Emily appeared at my side as the chaos continued. Ready to go? I slipped the ring back on my finger where it belonged. Almost. There's just one more thing I need to say to the happy couple. I walked over to where Wade and Lucille stood handcuffed, surrounded by officers. The wedding guests were still in chaos, reporters snapping photos, board members shouting into phones. You know what the funny thing is? I said, holding up my grandmother's ring. If you'd just been honest from the start, asked for the ring properly, explained your feelings, I might have given you my blessing. You're lying, Lucille spat, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Am I? We're cousins, Lucille. Family. But you chose deception, fraud, and theft. Wade lunged forward, straining against his cuffs. You smug little... Careful. Emily stepped up beside me. Everything's still being recorded. The hospital board would like a word. The chairman appeared, his face red with fury. Though I suspect the police will have first priority. It's not what you think, Wade pleaded. We can explain the transfers. Save it for your lawyer, a detective cut in. We've got enough evidence for multiple fraud charges, conspiracy, theft. Don't forget the blackmail, Mr. Carlyle added, glaring at Lucille. My son provided a very detailed statement. My aunt pushed through the crowd. This is ridiculous. My daughter would never. Actually, Mrs. Hanson, Frankie appeared with his laptop. Would you like to see the text messages where they planned everything, including how they'd blame the missing hospital funds on the accounting department? The detective checked his watch. We need to get them to the station. Wait, I held up my hand. One last thing. I stepped closer to Wade and Lucille, making sure the reporters could hear every word. My grandmother used to say this ring represented more than just jewelry. It represented honor, integrity, and the unbreakable bonds of family. You saw it as nothing but a price tag, a means to fund your lies. We had dreams, Lucille whispered. Plans for a better life, built on stolen money from sick children? I shook my head. That's not dreams, that's greed, and now everyone knows exactly who you are. Wade's lawyer burst into the hall. Don't say another word, both of you. Too late, Emily smiled, holding up her phone. Everything's already trending. Wedding fraud is getting quite the attention. The police started leading them away. Wade turned back one last time, his face twisted with rage. "You'll regret this," he snarled. "You have no idea what you've done." "Actually, I do." I held up my ring. "I protected my family's legacy. I exposed your crimes. And—" I glanced at the hospital chairman. "I believe the board is already discussing returning the stolen funds to the children's ward." The chairman nodded. "With interest, and a special thanks to you for bringing this to light." As Wade and Lucille were led out, reporters swarmed around me. Questions flew from all directions. "How did you uncover the fraud? Was the wedding just a cover for the money laundering? What happened to the original ring sale?" I felt Emily's hand on my shoulder. "My client has no comment at this time," she said smoothly, guiding me toward the exit. "Client?" I whispered. "Well, someone needs to handle your press coverage. This story's going national." Outside, Frankie waited by his car. "Need a ride? Unless you want to stay for the reception." He grinned. "Though I think the catering's gone to waste." I looked back at the Grand Plaza Hotel, where my ex-fiancé and cousin were being loaded into police cars. Their perfect wedding turned into a public arrest. "You know what?" I said. "I think I need a drink." "First round's on me." Emily linked her arm through mine. "We should celebrate." "Celebrate what? The arrests? The ring?" "No," she smiled. "Celebrate you. Standing up for what's right, no matter the cost." I touched my grandmother's ring, feeling its familiar weight. "Some costs," I said, watching the police cars drive away, "are worth paying." The morning sun streamed through the children's hospital windows as I followed Emily down the corridor. Kids' laughter echoed from the playroom ahead. "Ready for this?" Emily asked, adjusting the box of cupcakes in her arms. "As I'll ever be." I touched my grandmother's ring for courage. The playroom door opened to reveal dozens of smiling faces. A banner hung across the wall. "Thank you, Miss Tricia." "There she is." The hospital board chairman waved me over. "The woman who helped us recover the stolen funds, and then some." "I just did what was right," I said, helping Emily distribute cupcakes to eager children. "Right?" He laughed. "Thanks to you, we didn't just get back the stolen money. The publicity led to record donations. We're building a whole new wing." A small girl tugged at my sleeve. "Is it true you stopped bad guys at a wedding?" I knelt down to her level. "Something like that. But you know what's more important? Making sure kids like you get the care you need." "Speaking of care," Emily called from across the room, "show them the surprise." I pulled out my phone, pulling up the live feed from the courthouse. Wade and Lucille's faces filled the screen as the judge read their sentences. "Guilty on all counts," the chairman announced to applause from the hospital staff. 15 years each, plus full restitution. My phone buzzed with a text from Frankie. "Turn on the news, now." The chairman grabbed a remote, switching on the playroom TV. There was my aunt standing outside the courthouse, tears streaming down her face. "I'd like to announce," she was saying, "that I'm donating my entire inheritance to the Children's Hospital. It won't make up for what my daughter did, but maybe it can help heal some of the damage." "That's $3 million, the chairman whispered. "We can help so many children." A nurse rushed in. "Mr. Carlyle is here." The elderly jeweler entered, carrying a familiar velvet box. "Miss Tricia," he smiled, "I have something for you." He opened the box, revealing not just my grandmother's ring, but a matching necklace. "This belonged to your grandmother, too. She sold it to my father years ago to help fund her daughter's cancer treatment." "Your mother's treatment." My hand flew to my throat. "I never knew." "She made my father promise to keep it safe in case her family ever needed it again. I think now is the right time for it to come home." As he fastened the necklace around my neck, I caught my reflection in the window. For a moment, I swore I saw my grandmother smiling back at me. Miss Tricia? The little girl was back, holding up a drawing. I made this for you. It showed a stick figure wearing a ring and a necklace, surrounded by hearts and the words, Our Hero. I'm not a hero, I started to say, but Emily cut me off. Yes, you are. You stood up to bullies, protected these kids, and showed everyone that doing the right thing matters. And inspired others to do the same, the chairman added, nodding toward the TV still showing my aunt's announcement. My phone buzzed again, this time with a message from my aunt. Coming to see the kids tomorrow. Hope you'll be there. We have a lot to talk about. And thank you. I looked around the playroom at the happy faces, the dedicated staff, my loyal friends. The weight of my grandmother's ring and necklace felt right, like pieces of a puzzle finally fitting together. So, Emily grinned, what's next? I picked up a cupcake, smiling. I think this is just the beginning. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about making things right. And that's a legacy worth protecting.